Hey strong people, Kalle Beck here from StartingStrongman.com. Go to store.startingstrongman.com and pick up my ebook, How to Train Strongman in a Regular Gym. If you have limited equipment, just some barbells, don't have your implement access anymore, it's a great buy. It's only $8. And we also have Strong at Home by Josh Thigpen. If you have just bands or random stuff, and also shows you how to take everyday items around your house and do strongman workouts with them. And there's no reason to not make progress right now. So that's Strong at Home. Both are available at store.startingstrongman.com. And hopefully some of you buy those, which makes me able to do these videos and make them worthwhile, other than talking to you guys, because I love talking to YouTube. Anyways, today I'm doing a Q&A. There's a lot going on in the strongman world. 501, 500, ESPN. Who's judging? Is it in a gym? I think I covered all that. Anyways, let's get on to the questions. What events have you not seen for a while that you'd like to bring back to World's Strongest Man and strongman shows in general? To be honest. I don't understand where the to be honest comes in there, but I think I answered this question last time, but who remembers last time? I think some of the showier events, like a Fingal Fingers, we haven't seen that in a couple of years, and there's, with the dynamic, some of the dynamic athletes, I think that would be an interesting one, and I think it's just visually appealing. And overall, I'd just like to see more of a focus on the odd objects and stuff. It's like, it just looks hard. No one really knows what it weighs. Like, you look at a couple different Fingal Finger implements, you're like, is that one heavy, is that one not? But it's super easy to tell for a casual viewing audience, where it's like, oh, all these guys only got to 3. Then this guy smokes 5. You go, wow, no one else was able to do those 3. Then someone smoked 4 and 5 and made it all look easy. He's obviously stronger. You don't need to know the weight to know that it's heavy and it's challenging. Just more odd objects like that. More 3-part medleys, not meaning just carrying 4 bags back and forth. I'm talking like farmer's walk into yoke, into backwards sled drag, just stuff like that. I'd like to see just a little bit more athleticism in strongman and just doing odd objects. And something else I thought would be cool is bringing back power stairs, but only if they're like 20 steps up actual stairs. Not those like, I don't like when it's just the 3-step platform. It looks dangerous, and I don't think, and it's to the athletes, but what was it, like Malta or something, where they had it and they're just doing it over and over again? Yeah, events like that. And max distance Husafel stone carries. Just let's bring some max distance carries back. A little bit of max distance stuff. All right, this question, give us some background on the history of American strongman organizations, NAS, North American Strongman and Strongman Corporation, the creation of United States Strongman. I am going to cover that in the future. That's going to take a lot more research, and probably I want to do an actual podcast with some of the people involved to do that. But like, just going over everything, it's a very detailed, and a little more detailed than I can do in just one Q&A. What are my training goals for 2020? Do you ever see yourself competing again? If so, would you hire a coach or train myself? So my goals for 2020, first and foremost, just get healthy, get lean, and feel better, and just be better all around. One of the reasons I was so attracted to strongman training in the first place is I grew up on a ranch, on a farm. There's always just people doing physical things, and there'd always be like, that one guy who would just pick up the thing himself instead of 2 people carrying it, and that held a lot of stock in like everyone, and I was a small kid, so I just always wanted to be physically capable. I'm like, I just want to be able to if I want to move something or do something, I want to be able to do it. And once I found out about strongman, I'm like, well, that's the perfect culmination of, however you say that word, of all of that stuff. It's basically manual labor for sport, if you look at it, and it's made me, I'm very physically capable just doing stuff, around my house, or just moving awkward, heavy things, because that's what strongman is. So when you compete, you kind of pigeonhole, like, obviously I got better for doing that, but like kind of pigeonholed on just doing those 5 specific events coming up in a contest And I just want to be more general, strong, general fit. I want to be able to run. I'd like to be able to run like a 5K, no problem, just on a whim. Just getting, body weight back down to about 185. I'm 198, started the year at about 208. So making progress there. Get lean, feel good, and just, generally just also just do a little bit more weights. But as far as specific like weightlifting goals, I think the only number I'd really care about is I want to try to finally hit a 300-pound log press, weighing under 190 pounds, which I feel like you're basically an 80-kilogram competitor if you're under 190, because that's about where you cut from. And it's pretty rare to do even in training in the 80-kilogram class, which is what I competed in. And it's something I always got right up to, and I probably missed 300 pounds on the log 20 plus times. I've hit 295, I hit 285 for 2, I'd miss 305, I'd load 310, I'd miss it. Just mental thing, I don't know. But the main goal is just to, if there's an actual just specific weightlifting goal, strongman goal, would be to do a 300-pound log press. And that's all I'm going to focus on this year as far as numbers. Who do you think is the strongest strongman to never win World's Strongest Man? And the rest of the question was already asked and I answered. So I think that there's only 2 possible answers to this, and I would consider it a tie because they were the closest to winning World's Strongest Man without actually winning it. And one would be Derek Poundstone, who looked phenomenal. He won the Arnold, 2-3 times, and won a bunch of international competitions, America's Strongest Man a bunch of times, and he was right there. And he was so pivotal in strongman because, especially in America, and he paved the way for people like Brian Shaw, because up until that point, Americans would do pretty good on certain shows, but not consistently beat all the European guys, and Europeans just dominated strongman. It was just like the American strongman scene, even though there was a lot of depth, was kind of a joke. Obviously, there was Phil Pfister in the middle there, but overall, and he just started consistently beating the top guys. Like he beat Marius at Mohegan Sun, etc. But at Worlds, you got that stone just rolled down. It didn't roll this way; it rolled down. No one's ever gotten closer. It was horrible. So I'd say he's number 1 in there. And Odie Wilson, from what I understand, was completely robbed. They put a 400-meter sack race at the end, and he had a huge lead. He was by far the strongest person at that contest that year. Stronger than John Paul. Stronger than everyone else. He had a 7-8 point lead going into the last event. And from what I understand, that last event was switched because strongman is still kind of loosey-goosey now. It was even more so back then, and the American audience wasn't very big. And John Paul was the biggest star, and they're like, let's just have them run 400. Let's make this 430-pound guy, or however big Odie Wilson was. He needs to get absolute last in this event, and John Paul needs to get absolute first, and he could win. So let's make them run around a 400-meter track. When has there ever been a 400-meter event in strongman before or since? Oh, there hasn't been one. With a 100-kilogram sack like this on their back, the weight doesn't even matter. Might not even have been that heavy. And Odie Wilson got last. John Paul got first because he was very athletic. And he was completely robbed of the title and was the strongest man in the world that year. So he lost it a lot less fair and square than Derek. But I'd say those are the 2. There's other people that have been strong and they just didn't perform at Worlds. But you have to go with, in my opinion, not the strongest overall of time, because then it's now it would be Kieliszkowski, but he's still competing because, people just get stronger as time goes. But for that time is how I look at it. Why are people so against Thor doing the 501-kilogram deadlift? I think there's a lot of reasons. I think it's gotten somewhat political. There's been stuff put out by Eddie, etc., and they either whether they're hyping it or not. I think a lot of misinformation has been put out, and things weren't super clear, and it's weird circumstances. So you have people, there's been this big beef between basically Eddie and Thor, and then like people are kind of float on each side. And, it's kind of the same as like politics or sports teams at this point. So no one wants to see the other person that they don't like eclipse the person they do like. And since the circumstances are weird, it puts an extra little, little crink in the mix. But I think it's just tribalism, basically. 2 questions. If Thor does the 501, obviously won't stop the contest from having a max deadlift since there's controversy. Do you think he'll do it again at the next contest to offer prize money just to shut everyone up and get a payday? No, I don't. I think Thor is going to focus on winning another World's Strongest Man title after this. There's not going to be time for another contest in between that in November. After that, maybe, but I don't really think so. Just let it. He did it. He has nothing to prove at that point, hopefully, and I'd be happy if they just. That's the worst part about this whole 501 kilogram deadlift thing being done under these weird circumstances during the pandemic, is no matter what happens, he makes it, he doesn't, there's still going to be like people saying, oh, now it has to be done officially here. And it's just like, let's just move on and focus on other things than a deadlift for just a little bit in strongman, please, which isn't going to happen because of that. Second question, do you think Kielszkowski is prepped to be the next world's strongest man once the ridiculous emphasis on deadlift is over with? I would say yes, and especially depending, I've heard rumors Thor's retiring somewhat soon, and if he does, that's just completely, it really opens up the door, and I think you're seeing more people like Kielszkowski going, and, the deadlift can only go so high. And you see a lot of the people that are those big pullers that are right above him kind of waning to the end of their career. And so I think, he's looking like he's improving more and more, and other people are getting more beat up. But I do think this pandemic happening and there being less contests is going to prolong a lot of these strongman's careers who are just competing too much, like Martin's. He has time to actually get healthy and be prepared for Worlds and get right back on par, because he just seemed too beat up, him and some others, and they can't go little paydays here and there competing, and they're forced to stay home, and it's going to be great for them because people are just, there's been more competitions, more heavy competitions, and the athletes are more beat up in general. But I think Kielszkowski has as good a shot at winning World's Strongest Man as anyone. I think I remember you talking about trying to get Mike Burke on a podcast before. Still working on that. Still working on that would be a lie. I am the king of saying I'm working on things, then I work on other things. And I apologize. I do want to start doing more podcasts, one-on-one with interviews. I know I posted that clip of the one I did with Jerry in 2016. So I'm going to go through. I have lots of great clips like that and repost them on this channel, and I would like to just talk to these people and kind of tell their story, how I used to do on the Strong Talk podcast. It's just very time intensive, sitting, which it kind of not in the time frame for me right now. Once my son starts to go to preschool or something and I have more time and he's gone part of the day, once anything like that is open, I think that's when I'll really pick up doing podcasts again. And I want to get like all kinds of like old time strongman, or retired athletes, and just tell their story, from start to finish on how they started, how their career went. And I think it's that kind of stuff needs to be out there. And if anyone else wants to step up and do that, feel free, because I'm obviously not doing it well. Oh, Donnie Baker 45 asks, I work 12-hour days, 7 days in a row, then I have 7 days off. So that seems hard than good. I would appreciate a schedule like that. Put my coffee out of you. On my work week, I work from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. between eating, dinner, family, spending a little bit of time with the kids before bed. I don't have much time to work out. What I've been doing is cutting out assistance work and just doing a few sets of primary and secondary movement. Example, overhead press, weighted pull-ups, squat, then RDL. How would you go about adjusting programming for that kind of schedule? So the good news is you have 7 days completely off, so you can really crush it on those weeks. And on the weeks where you're working 7 days in a row, I would only do 2 or 3 barbell days, and I I would just do what you're doing. Just stick to 1, 2 complementary movements. Like I would, like let's do heavy squats. Not heavy, but it's decent, like 70-80% varied volume in there. And then do a secondary deadlift exercise like an RDL, dumbbell stiff leg deadlift, lighter for 4 sets of 8, 3 sets of 10, whatever, as your secondary movement. Throw in some core work or something you can superset on that second one to just get more overall work in. And again, on the overhead press, like I do, when I've had limited time, I'll just go out and bang out. I'll superset them. Like I'll do overhead press and face pulls and lat pull downs and just do a circuit of that. Give myself like 20-30 minutes. Use a manageable weight just to do something. Like when I'm like, oh, I have like 30 minutes to work out, and that's how I do it. And I wouldn't beat yourself up about the workout on those weeks. If you're working 12 hours a day and you got a family and you're doing that 7 days in a row, you need your sleep most of all. So just do 2 or 3 weight training sessions a week. Or something you can do is you can do like if you want to train every day still, do your main movement and 1 secondary movement day 1, then do the normal assistance movements on day 2 for those. So like on overhead press, you do like overhead press and pull-ups. Then day 2, you do like just nothing but shoulder accessories and like tricep press downs, shoulder and triceps, like bodybuilder style. Then day 2, do squats, RDLs. Then the next day, just do a bunch of rows and, like reverse hypers, hyperextensions, abs. And then day 3, just do your bench and like a row. Then just do, arms and triceps and chest, like a bodybuilder style, on day, what would that be, 6? You get what I'm saying? So you can like your normal training on how you do 1 session on the weeks where you don't work and you have free time, just split those up into 2 and do it over 2 days. And by doing that, you should be able to do it in about half the time, and you're still getting the overall same volume in over the work week. It's just split up. The last question, which I'll end with because it's an easy one, is how tall am I? I'm 5'7". That's it. I compete as a lightweight. That's under 80 kilograms. And thank God, strongman is for everyone. And of course, go to startingstrongman.com if you want to find out how to do strongman yourself.